So, welcome, Dr. Bob Nelson. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us today. I wanted to start really by saying, if I give you 15 seconds, how would you describe yourself? Because I know you've got a long, illustrious background, but in 15 seconds, can you cram it in?
Yeah, sure. I'm a worldwide advocate for employee recognition and engagement. So helping treat employees better so they do a better job and are more likely to stay and come work for you.
Excellent, fantastic. And so, um, we've come to you because obviously you've written the book Consulting for Dummies, which is quite an interesting book to have a look through. I haven't read it completely just yet, but I was wondering, what's the inspiration behind the book?
I've done a lot of books and they all start with the idea and where you feel you have something of value that others could appreciate. And in the case of this book, I'd already done a book called Managing for Dummies. And just it's my observation that there's a lot of people in the workplace that, if given a choice, would rather, be their own boss and to work on their own and not be working for someone else, especially if they've been working for a company or have a career and have 15, 20 years in a profession working for others. Then it's quite likely that they can go out on their own with that skill set and be of service to others for their own benefit.
Yeah,
So I
sure.
believe that. I've done it all for my own career, and I enjoy helping people on the journey of life.
So it's quite a scary thing, actually, isn't it? Taking that leap from being a manager in a secure employed position to going out on your own. So for you, what was the
Yes.
key
What
motivator for that, and how did you
and
overcome that fear?
some type of expertise. It could be on, appraising real estate, or it could be on, plumbing. And its ability to say, can I help others with this beyond doing now, working just for one person and in the business from that. So you have a steady paycheck, but you might be able to reach more people and actually make more money if you do it on your own. And for my purposes, part of why I worked for several corporations and I worked for one company for 10 years. I decided early in my career that I would be best to work on my own, and that's why I've done the bulk of my career. To great advantage, by the way. I've made um, much more money than I could have made in any single job. I have no one tells me that that's enough. You should be happy with what you made. No more for you. I, my wife says if I ever feel a need for money, I simply sit down and start typing, or I pick up the phone and start calling, and 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 either of those will generate the income for me.
Your background then, how has that helped you to, or what skills did you pick up along the way that helped you to become successful? Because as I said, yeah, and in being independent, I mean, because I think for a lot of people there can be a thought in their mind of what if I'm not good enough? What if what I'm offering isn't wanted out there? So it'd be interesting to hear in your background what skills you've actually utilized to make yourself successful as an independent.
It doesn't have to be a jumping off the cliff type thing. It's not all or nothing. You can ease into it. So you can have you know like my son plays classical guitar, but that's the hard job to get, and there's a lot of competition for it. So he basically said, well, what else could I do to earn a living? And he started offering teaching uh, classical guitar online, and after a little bit, he's got a dozen um, students around the globe. Sky lessons on guitar. Guitar is a skill. You need coaching, you need feedback. You can't just get a book and practice on your own, you don't know you made a mistake. So you practice, and then someone listens to you and says, "No, don't do that, do that." Oh, okay, I got it now. And then they're a little bit better. So he's been doing that for 10 years. He's got teaches people in Ireland and Middle East and Asia, and that they found him, and he's a good guitarist. He's won championships. He couldn't find a traditional job doing that, but he found a non-traditional way to make money in that regard. I have a good friend. So you pick any area. I can give you an example. I've got a good friend, Marshall Goldsmith is his name, and he's actually ranked as the world's #1 executive coach. So get this. So he's got his expertise on coaching. He's perfectly happy with that, and he had this company president contact him, and this is he's got this written up in one of his books, and he's very open about it all. And this president contacted him and said, "Hey, do you ever work with individuals and helping them be better?" And he goes, "No, I really don't. I do presentations." And the president goes, "Ah, darn, that's too bad, because he said, I've got this guy. He could be our next president, but he's got some rough edges, and he's not going to get that job. And I'm trying to figure out a way to help him." And the guy just offhand comment goes, "I'd pay anything for a way to figure this out." And so Marshall goes, "Now hear that."
Yeah.
Anything? Well, let me give it a try. What the heck? And he did. And the guy, and this is very common. He actually ended up doing a book about it called "What Got You Here Won't Get You There," which has sold, millions of copies, by the way. So there's another avenue. But what he found is that people that are successful, they get to a point where they plateau in their success because they are doing something that blocks their success. They undermine their effectiveness, or in the part of him coaching executives, often they're being executive and they've got a strong ego, and so strong that they have to have the last word in every conversation, in every meeting, and it ends up grading others around them, and they drive people away from them. And so unless someone gives them that feedback and helps them break that habit, they're going as far as they're going to in their career. And he does that, and so he is kind of cool, because like when he was growing up, as a part-time job when he was a kid, he worked with a friend of his dad's painting houses, and that person had a philosophy that started projects. Would I give you a deposit? No, you don't pay me anything until you're perfectly satisfied with the work that was done. Oh, okay, that's great. And so you do it, and then they inspect it, and everything okay? You want me to fix anything? No, this is great, exactly what we wanted.
There's kind of two different things that you've covered there. More, there's been plenty, but two things that stuck out in my mind. So your son with the guitar learning, that was a passion that he's turned into a business, steadily and slowly. The second thing that I found interesting there was the CEO trainer, or the CEO coach. It's just what he was good at, and then people have just taken him up on that, and by saying yes and having an action, or taking action, that's helped him take a big step forwards in his career. So
yeah, well, I mean, starter for all this is that do something you're passionate about, do something that you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. That's I don't know if it's Mark Twain or someone said that do something you love, and you'll never have to work. You're gonna just love what you're doing all the time. And I can give you any number of examples from my own life. I do books, for example, okay, and I just did, and I get the luxury of picking, and it's fun. It's fun. Writing books is hard, but it's kind of fun saying, well, what could I write about, and then having an idea, and then bringing it into fruition, and then having it be successful. So I did a book. So I've done like 30 books. Here's one that I'm known for: 1,001 Ways to Reward Employees. So I had the idea for this book in a graduate school class. And I was working on my MBA, and I was taking a class on control systems, business class. And my professor was talking about reinforcement theory, and he made an offhand comment. He says, "As proven as this principle is, you get what you reward, what you reinforce, you get repeated in any relation, in any human endeavor." He says there really hasn't been much application of that in business. And I said to myself, well, I'm going to do something about that. and so drove home after class, and I wrote out a letter to a publisher. I got the idea for this book, and I was thinking, how could I apply? What would be a good idea? Well, let me take this common sense notion that's enormously powerful that no one's doing, and show them what it looks like in practice, not with theory and research, but with real life examples. And so that was my vision for this book. And this is the result. This is a book it's got 1,001 ways to reward employees. These are all real life examples of ways to thank other people for a job they did well. It's got 28 categories. I've got examples from around the world. They're all true. You can open this book anywhere and have an idea that you can apply right now. And I said, that's not really what I want to do, though. He goes, well, what do you really want to do? And I looked at him and said, be a best-selling author. I saw this little twinkle in his eye. Deal closed. This book came out initially in 1994. It's down its 64th printing. It has sold 2 million copies.
Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it?
The number of business books that have sold 1 million copies, you can count on this many hands. So it's like, and every one of them has a different story, by the way. That's this story. So, and then once you do that, it's pretty easy to get another book deal. But let me give you just an example. Take that. So I've done 30 books, and then my latest one is, again, another silly, fun idea called Work Made Fun Gets Done. If you can make your own job fun, whatever it is, however rote or routine or drudgery it is, if you can find a way to make it fun, or if you can, as a manager, help someone make their work fun, it's going to be easier to do. They have more fun doing it, and they're going to be ready for the next thing.
What advice, or what one piece of advice would you offer to somebody who is thinking, look, I want to go out there and do something on my own, but they haven't got the idea? I mean, what would you suggest for them to do to find that idea or to get started?
It's a combination between what you like doing and what you're good at. And that a lot of people actually don't have answers to that. And I'd say, listen to the people around you, because they'll tell you, if people give you a compliment, oh, you're so organized, or, oh, you're so good with people, or, oh, you're a mechanical genius, you can fix anything. It's like instead of saying, oh yeah, thanks, you go, well, they're giving you a message. They're giving you a message that maybe that's a marketable skill, that your ability to fix appliances. All of a sudden, I got a next door neighbor. He growing up, he had a knack for fixing stuff. He fixed all the appliances, the TVs, and in his neighborhood for everyone, because people would say, yeah, Ken fixed it for us, and then you get a call. He was a kid,
Yeah.
So he probably did it for free or get cookies or something, but he did have a knack, and now he just, as a hobby, he runs a software company, but as a hobby, he'll buy because he's good at it and he likes doing it. He'll buy laser printers. These are machines that are built-in programming to etch in glass or wood or stuff, and it's it's a 15-year-old machine. It's all broken, and it's a piece of junk. He'll buy it for $500 and spend 6 months. He'll put a new laser in it. He'll read the programming and then sell it for $3,000 just for fun. He's got 3 or 4 in his office right now, and then meanwhile he uses it to make gifts for the holidays and stuff, and he has fun with it.
If I'd have gone down the route of doing what I enjoy doing, I'd be a terrible guitarist, struggling away, not making any money, I think. But it's an interesting piece of advice.
My son's a guitarist, a classical guitarist, and he ultimately went to graduate school for that. He really went to see if he could make a living doing it. And he took this job, and then his girlfriend, she was a kind of a secretary for a hospital in Los Angeles. Miserable job. She actually has she has a master's degree in healthcare from she's English from a school in the UK, but that wasn't worth a lot in the US because healthcare is a very different system. So she was working as pretty much an admin and was miserable about it. And he's like, say, well, why don't you do what I did? Come there. And she got interested in it. And then she told her parents and they said, no, you can't do that. You haven't been in that job for a year. You've got to be there at least a year to prove yourself. And she's like going, I hate this job. And so she was kind of a little defiant. And she did the same thing. She went to San Francisco and she did the same program. She graduated. She graduated. She got a job, a programming job. You know, I don't know what she was paid, but the second day she graduated, she got a call from Apple Computer, the a trillion dollar
Wow.
company.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, I'm already looking at another job. They go, this is Apple. And she goes, yeah, well, the commute would be farther. And no, she's fine. She's good. She said no to Apple.
Yeah. Wow. Not many people are doing that, I imagine. But
So
you're talking there about pivoting, and I'm wondering, do you think it's actually achievable for people to, let's say, have one career that seems quite one-dimensional, but then pivot to do something completely different? And I'm thinking of maybe the salespeople, they've got transferable skills, but is it achievable for everybody to pivot into a different industry or to a different career, in your opinion?
I do believe it's so. I just gave you an example of my son doing that, moving
Yeah.
from music to computers, programming successfully. But I think it's a matter of, again, so you have things you're good at. If you also along the way find things that you enjoy more, if you move towards those things that you enjoy, then you're going to get better at those things because you're gonna spend more time with them and you're gonna get creative. And I don't know, I just think that yes, I believe very strongly that people have the power to move in directions of their life that where they have more fulfillment. So I've actually done 2 books for employees with this the same thing we're talking about. One's called Please Don't Just Do What I Tell You to Do what needs to be done. And it's like an open plea to employees, because in my viewpoint, you know, half the working population is, their life is passing by them. You know, they're being paid and their money, they pay their bills, and now they keep at it. They're on a treadmill. Yeah, and they kind of hate it, but then I'm not sure what to do about it. But and the other half are making stuff happen. So my whole appeal on the book is to say, look, take your current circumstances, I don't care what they are, and instead of dreaming about what you might do 10 years from now, use your current job as a stepping stone to get to the next step. Look at it differently. And I remember, I remember, and I do a lot of media and you know and stuff. I remember I was doing a TV show in where was it, Oregon or someplace, or San Francisco, and we were taking call-ins, and someone called in and said, you know, well, I've got a terrible job. You know, I work for a grocery store, and I'm the person that has to get all the carts off the parking lot, and I hate it. And my question to you is, how do I get out of that job? And I said, well, the way you get out of that, do that job better than anyone's ever done it before. Drive your own fate. Don't put it in the hands of others. I find so many people are, well, I started this job. It's a lousy job. It doesn't pay much, but you know, you got to do something. And
Pays the bills, right? Yeah.
why don't
Yeah,
you start with what you'd like to do? And wow.
yeah, it's interesting. So,
But hold on,
it,
because you're talking about how do you know when someone tells you you're good at something. And people ask me, well, how'd you get into writing? I was in high school, and I remember I was taking an English class, and the teacher was passing out papers. I was like 11th grade or something, and she's passing out papers. She stops at my desk and she waves my paper up in front of everybody. Goes, best paper in 5 classes. And I'm like kind of embarrassed, you know. What, you know? And I went through and read it. What did she see here that I don't see myself? But I got a very clear message that I had something. That's something about how I can present an idea or something. So I knew there's something there. I didn't quite know what it was, but it got me on a track of being a writer and doing initially self-publishing a book, you know, when I was 25, and then I learned about marketing by taking the book around to bookstores and talking to book. It was fun. It was all fun. I actually actually after I got my MBA, and my wife was working on her master's degree, and she wasn't finished, so she had another semester. So I'm going, oh, well, now what, and so I go, well, I can, I guess I got time. I can go do anything I wanted. I could do anything I wanted for 6 months. How about that? And so what I thought would be fun, I'm going to go work at a bookstore, that because I love books, and I'd like to write a book someday. And actually I'd already done some at that point. And I went and applied at one bookstore, and I talked about the books I'd written, and I had a master's degree, and they laughed me out of the store. There's no way you're going to stay here. And so I go, well, wait a minute, I'm the one that wanted to work there. So I applied to another store, and I left all that off my resume. And I said, well, I like to read, and one day maybe I'll do a book. And I sort of finished college, and okay, perfect. And I was a shipping clerk. Best job I ever had.
It's interesting, isn't it, how you can take something from in your background and implement that into something that you're doing now or something for the future. And it's
well, not only can you, but you should do that. So I constantly am looking to weave my life as a function of everything I've done in the past, to bring that to bear now, going future. So I'm still, and I think we're all salespeople. I'm a salesperson. In college one summer, a friend invited me to. He did a summer job selling dictionaries door to door. Yeah, so I'll go sell dictionaries door to door. It was like out of 6,000 student salespeople, I was ranked in the top 10. and it was you could do this for a living. Yeah, I could, and actually I do. I sell every day. I'm constantly selling, but in that job, in selling, I listened to them. They had the training, and this company had been doing this door-to-door sales for 120 years. So I figured, one, they probably know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. So I'm just going to do what they say to do, and they'll probably work out because they know what works. So I just did what they said to do, which was a wide range of things on how you structure your day. And so it was like, one of them was you get up at 5:30 every day. You take a cold shower, wake up. I didn't have a shower in the little hovel that I was renting, so I took a cold bath at 5:30 every day, free. and then you make your first sales pitch at 7:59, not 8 o'clock, because if it's 8 o'clock, then it's going to be 8:15, then it's going to be 9, and then it's going to be after lunch, and you're never going to start. So at 7:59 every day, I made my first sales call. That meant if I was in a diner with breakfast at 7:59, oh my gosh, I would turn to the person next to me, no matter who they were, and would start talking about what I did and how I sold. And you should look at this you have kids, and off I'd go. Or I'd be. I remember I'd have a bike. I'd ride out to my territory. I remember one time I hit a pothole, wiped out. 7:59. Oh my gosh, work time. Raced to the nearest house. Made a sales call.
I'm afraid we're running out of time now. We've got another call to jump on, but Dr. Bob, I wanted to say thank you so much for your time. It's been great listening to all the various stories and elements that you've brought to this conversation. Have been fantastic. So
Dummies is one of the books I've done, and as you know, I've given you a link. We're having a special price on that. It's a $25 book, and we're doing it for $15. So if any listener might be interested. Got that as well as all my other books on our website, www.drbobnelson.com.
Perfect. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to share that offer. We'll make sure there's a link in the description. So thank you once again. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.
Best of luck.
Have a big day, maybe. Have a big day.
A big day.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.